All right, welcome to the presentation of qualification description. The quick pitch, and all this is available on D2L if you want to check it out. But the quick pitch for the presentation of qualifications is that in a lot of ways it is sort of the first way in which you're able to deliver the information like an elevator pitch, pitch yourself for a company. And at this point in the quarter, you've already created a resume and hopefully catered that to a very specific position that you found, this job description, and you made a cover letter as well. So you should know how you fit into this company and this job that you're hopefully going to apply for. And that's sort of like the big hello for what it is that we want to do. So for the checklist of completing all this and what you're going to actually present, all this is available on D2L. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. The one thing that I am a little bit nitpicky about is that when you finally upload all the documents, you're going to put all this in one total document, and page 1 will be the job description. You could condense this, make it 10-point font. Page 2, your resume. 3, cover letter. 4, a preparation outline. And 5, a delivery outline. So the preparation outline is everything written, all 4 to 4.5 minutes of this presentation written down, whereas the delivery outline is maybe just a basic script, a couple of keywords to make sure that you are on task. And I also have some suggestions as to how it is that you can successfully deliver the presentation of qualifications. All of this should sort of make sense and coalesce. But I want to get into the evaluation form and what the presentation of qualifications should look like, how it should feel, and how it is that, some people in previous iterations of this class, in previous quarters, have said, it's pretty straightforward. I know that I'm pitching myself to a company, but how do I pitch myself and what do I say? And to that, I tell these students, and I'm telling you, think about yourself in a situation where, and this is a very dire situation, think about that you are in an elevator and you happen to be going into a job interview, and the person who's interviewing you walks in the elevator just as you both hit 6, and you say, oh, hey, Dave, in this example, hey, Dave, I'm Mike. I'm actually coming upstairs for the interview. It's so funny to see you in the elevator, just topical bit of humor. And as you're going up to the 6th floor, boom, power shuts off, emergency lights come in, you guys are stuck for 4 to 4.5 minutes. In that moment, what would you say to Dave? Now, you obviously have a new bond that's established because you almost died in the elevator together, but in this moment, you have an opportunity to be able to pitch yourself. So how do you pitch yourself? And the format of it is actually pretty important because you want to make sure that you start off strong and you end strong, and the middle pieces of that are also sort of coalescing and telling a story about you and the value and the experiences and the overall thing that you can bring to wherever the company is. Now, I think about this in terms of metaphor, and this might be a little bit odd, but I think about the delivery of a presentation as a sandwich. The introduction and the conclusion are the bread. They hold the sandwich together, and whatever it is, the meat, the vegetables, whatever you put in is the body. And so when we're thinking about this, I'm just going to go through a couple of these points very quickly and think about how is it that we actually deliver on each of these components. So you and Dave are stuck in this elevator. For the introduction, the first thing you want to do is have some sort of attention-getting device, introduce yourself, and state the purpose as to why you were there for the interview in the first place. So it could be something to the effect of, for a very long time, I always imagined that I would be working at a company that really catered to the creative side, but I definitely didn't want to work as an intern under my father. Whatever the funny story it is that you want to tell, right? Hi, my name is Michael Blight. I am a senior at DePaul University, and I'm here today to give you sort of my pitch, to give you a presentation as to why I think I'm the best candidate for, and this is the important part, the human relations intern at insert company. Okay, so we want to make sure that at the very start of this, we make it very clear as to what position that we're applying for, and then you want to preview some of the main claims. What is it that you're going to be talking about? In order to sort of explain or illustrate that I'm the best candidate for this position, I want to talk about my previous work experiences, some of the philanthropy that I've done in college, and then third, work experience, college experience, and then also what some of my career aspirations are and how I'm making progress outside of school to get towards that. So we've identified sort of 3 bits of information, but keep in mind, We're at 4 to 4.5 minutes as the overall presentation, so we want to make sure that everything is condensed. Ambulance or fire truck outside. For each bit of information that we present, we want to state some sort of claim as to why we're, and the best candidate part here is maybe the wrong language, but why we're a qualified candidate for the position. We want to make sure that we're writing that line pretty carefully, that we're very qualified, that we're very interested, but best might come off as a little bit disingenuous, a little bit brash. So we want to say that the first things first, you're looking for an intern who has, background experience in financial and managerial accounting. Well, I have that experience, and I've taken those classes at DePaul. Okay, so you sort of stated this claim as to why you have a qualification that they've desired. Now, offer an example outside of I did this thing that helps us to understand why it actually proves or why it illustrates that you're the best candidate. So yes, they have this prerequisite. You have had to have had the 2 basic accounting courses. Okay, everyone has that. But what is it that you learned in those 2 accounting classes? Or if you work at, let's say, a fast food place, let's say you work at Potbelly. Most of us can probably figure out what someone does, what a sales associate or whatever your title is at a Potbelly does on a day-to-day basis. We see that you probably manage stock, that you make sandwiches, that you hang out, and you have to be this sort of personable, social person. But what we don't see right off the bat is how you approach the job. What is your mindset when you go into work every day? Do you have a fun story or a circumstance at which you're put in a negative place? And how does that illustrate your character? How does it illustrate the reputation that you have at work? And why is that a big deal? And we oftentimes get into now this language of show, don't tell. Don't just tell me that you're a team player. Show me or explain to me when you were a team player and why that's a big deal. So a lot of this is I am a team player and I make sure that every time I come into work that I'm able to provide assistance to all other people. That's a good start. So why is that important? Well, it's important because I'm able to sort of interact with people that have different experiences than me, and I'm able to take away some of the learning from them, and they are for me. Okay, better. But why is this important for the internship that you're applying for? Well, one of the things you listed is that you want a team player and you want someone who's going to be a self-starter. I have a lot of that experience, and then there we go. Based on the language that was used within the job description, we want to position that for ourselves, and we'll do this a couple times. We can do this really about what we think is best suited for this job, whether it be our work experience, our collegiate career, some of the extracurriculars, if we're in a fraternity or sorority, or involved in some sort of student organization. Those are the chances for us to use this show, don't tell mentality and be able to articulate these points. So we understand the introduction, we understand sort of the body element here, and then of course the conclusion is essentially the introduction in reverse. We want to think about what were the main reasons that you talked about. So if you listed 1 to 2 things, what were those reasons and why? Again, just a quick reminder why those are important for this position. And just like an attention-getting device, we want to have some sort of memorable close. This position doesn't ask for us to be cutting and making sandwiches, but I'm sure that I'm the right ingredient for your company. So cheesy, just came to me as I was thinking about it. Terrible to ever say that if you work at a sandwich place. But if they buy it, who am I to judge? And then, of course, thank the individual. On a basic level for the delivery elements, and we talk about this with the PowerPoints for chapters 11 and 12, we think about this idea of how is it that we use the delivery itself. Now, for our purposes, we're only using a delivery outline, so a couple of notes that you're allowed to have. Normally, you could just put this on a note card, sort of 5x7 note card or something like that, and use that. We want to make sure that we're also keeping the audience interested. Are we telling sort of compelling stories that keep us sort of adhering both visually, so watching you, but also auditorily, listening to you? And more importantly, are you using your eye contact? Are you using your gestures? Are you using ineffective language or inappropriate language like and so, like, stuff, trying to sort of avoid those vocalized pauses, vocalized fillers. What we've talked about before and something that you can use is purposeful pauses. I want to apply for this position because I think I have all the prerequisite skills and a little bit more based on my work experience and what I've done as one of the executive members of PRSSA. To begin, so we see there, we don't go, to begin, we pause. And pausing is perfectly acceptable. Ultimately, all the things that we're linking to have to be combined. They have to have some sort of very close transition, and we look at this as the transitions throughout. And it could be something as simple as, now that I've talked to you about my work experience, I want to make sure that I highlight some of the educational elements that make me a good position. Now that I've talked about the educational components as to why I'd be great for this company, I want to wrap up and review some of the ideas that I've talked about. So transitions linking the introduction to the body 1, to body 2, to the conclusion, so on and so forth. And everything else should sort of coalesce and make sense. So if you have any questions about the presentation of qualifications or any other really bad sandwich metaphors, you can of course direct them my way. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you're all good to go, and we'll be having a flawless presentation. All right, talk to you soon.